Okay, welcome back to another video. We're gonna make this one in English just because the other videos that I've been making have not gotten a single view. And I don't know if it's just the titles or the topics or it's just because it's in Spanish and maybe there's not as much of an audience for that, or maybe the algorithm just doesn't think that my content's like watchable. And that's why it's not showing it to people. I'm just gonna make this one in English. Maybe there's more of an audience for this type of content in English. I don't know. But today's topic is gonna be about identity. Ooh. So let's get started. What is your identity? I think that's the most important question. Like, who am I? And like that might vary widely, and like, yeah, that might vary widely depending on where you're from, how you were raised, who are your parents, what's your socio-economic background. But at the end of the day, all of those things can be overruled or overridden, yeah, by the work that you put into the development of your character, right? Of your identity. Because at the end of the day, it's just a matter of like deciding what makes you happy and what makes you excited about life. Like there are certain things that I can do, like for example, socializing, that like I can do them, but a lot of the times it doesn't make me happy. And a lot of times it just makes me feel empty because like I don't know if this happens to you, but for example, like I'm a very outspoken person and I can speak very freely, but a lot of times like I feel like I approach people and I try to speak to them and it's just kind of like I'm bothering them. And it's weird because like I understand if you're like not interested, but you can be like, hey, like I don't feel like doing this right now or anything, but like I don't know, it happens so much that like maybe I'm just like not interesting as a person to most people. I don't know. Like I feel like I tend to speak on more philosophical things. Like I'm very bad at small talk. I can do it, but I'm very bad at it. And I think that that might be a big point. But like at the end of the day, it's just a matter of fact that like because small talk is so important in order to socialize, and I don't like small talk. I like deep conversations. I like deep topics. I like getting to know you and to understand who you are. That might not be like the things that you want to talk about at a party, and that's okay. But that's my identity, and I have come to terms with the fact that that's how I am. I might, if we go out on a date or like on our own, like we're gonna have a great conversation just because I'm gonna be asking questions and showing interest in you. But if we're in a big group and I don't get to have that one-on-one, like I just know that I'm not gonna be contributing a lot to the conversation, because unless like it's a group of people who also are interested in the topics that I want to talk about. It's not about being flexible or like being one dimensional. It's just like, let's be honest. At the same time, I also know like through experience and through learning, I think that like a piece of advice is like if you want to explore yourself and what you truly are made of, you need to broaden your horizons in terms of perspectives. Like there's a lot of things that I've never thought about that I was able to learn and to experience through reading philosophy, through reading great novels. I think that reading's like one of those arts be, that's getting left behind. It's one of those things that's getting less left behind, and like that's so sad because books are the most important source of knowledge that we have, and it gives you a glimpse of the past, and it allows you to understand the present and to kind of like plan out the future. But on a deeper level, I think that like philosophy as a whole, and you don't have to be reading like a philosophy book to experience a philosophical outlook or perspective. Like I am currently reading Sexes by Henry Miller, this one right here. Beautiful book. Sexes by Henry Miller. And apparently this was a very controversial book at the time. Um, and I think it's very controversial. There's a lot of scenes or like a lot of like excerpts from the book that you might be like, holy shit, bro. But through this book, I'm also exploring myself and what's okay with me. There's certain scenes that make me feel very uncomfortable. For example, I'm a very sexual person. That's one of the things that like I've known my whole life. Ever since I was a little kid, I knew that like I was attracted in a different way to women. Like it wasn't just like, oh, I think you're pretty. It was like a desire, a bodily desire, right? Just because I'm sexual doesn't mean that I'm an animal. And there's certain scenes in this book that are very wild and animalistic, and that, yeah, they're just complex. I'm not gonna go into the detail of what makes the scenes, but there's certain sexual scenes that make me very uncomfortable. Like just because I'm a sexual being doesn't mean that I'm just comfortable invading a person's personal space or like throwing myself onto someone else without like consent or like explicit consent, like, and there's a lot of scenes in this book that make you feel like that. So like it's just like the more that you experience other people's minds, the more that you can be like, yeah, I like that, I don't like that. And I feel like that's something that's getting lost. We're just consuming content, and like instead of asking the deeper questions, we're just like, oh, like, yes, I'm a labubu girly, I'm a matcha girly, and like we expect trends to define us and to define who we are, when in reality, like, you're not matcha, you're drinking matcha because, and maybe some people are like, matcha's a big part of my life, but a lot of people are like gonna move on from matcha as soon as it stops being trendy, or as soon as a new trendy drink comes along. And I don't think that your identity should be a trend. It should be something that's constant. The identity is about what you do every day. And it doesn't mean that you cannot like a trend. It just means that you should have like something deeper than just a trend, right? Another book that helped me come to terms with who I am was On the Genealogy of Morality by Friedrich Nietzsche. And that's my favorite book of all time, other than The Republic by Plato. And it's just one of those books that asks the tough questions, such as, where does our sense of morality come from? Why is it important? Who came up with it? Why did they come up with it? Is it truly for our best interests, or is it truly for the best interests of a certain collective? And that's a topic for another time, whether there's a society controlling the world or whatever. But I do think that there's a lot of things about society that I don't necessarily agree with. Like, I'm gonna stick within the legal boundaries of society, because at the end of the day, I do want to belong to the society that I live in, and I have to adapt myself to this society. But within the boundaries of that, I can push a little bit, and I can expand them without breaking any law or without hurting anyone, or at least not intentionally. And I've come to terms, for example, I used to be a people pleaser. I used to be a man child and a very effeminate man. And not saying that those are bad things, but like, you need to be able to understand if you're living your truth. And this might sound like a very woke thing, but like, I'm not talking about, this could also apply to sexuality or to gender identity, but it just applies to identity as a whole. Like, are you living genuinely? Are you being yourself? And I used to be very ashamed of my shadow self, of my darker sides, of my darker traits, of my darker thoughts. And I've accepted that's just part of me, and that's okay. And I think that coming to terms with the darker parts of yourself is something that's needed. And maybe you don't have a darker part of yourself. Maybe you're just a very wholesome person. But if you do, that's also not a bad thing, and you shouldn't feel guilty about it. Like, you have to be certain of yourself enough to understand that there's someone out there for everyone. Not that that's the most important thing, but like in terms of social or like romantic relationships, there are people out there for everyone. Maybe not as much for some people, maybe not as many people for some, But in general, like there's a lot of people in the world that might share your perspective on life, etc. And like nowadays I'm just a different person because I was able to explore these aspects of my life and to understand that like I am not a people pleaser. It doesn't make me happy to please anyone. Like I'll do it if it's convenient for myself. I'll do it if it's something that is gonna be a net positive for me. But if it's not a net positive for me and I don't feel like doing it, I'm not gonna do it, and I'm okay with that. And you might be like, "Well, what a fucking asshole." I'm okay with that. I don't care because that's how I am, and I'm okay with being how I am. I don't, yeah, I'm a selfish person, and that's fine. Like it doesn't mean that I don't care about anyone else, but for the most part, I'm gonna care about myself first, and I think that's okay. Probably the first thing that I'm gonna teach my kids is to be selfish. I think people need to be selfish in life because if you're not taking care of yourself, then who the fuck's taking care of you? Because I know the other people in my life are looking out for themselves first, not for me. Like they do look out for me, but they're gonna look out for themselves first, right? So at the end of the day, it just comes down to like accept one, exploring different outlooks on life, and picking and grabbing little things that make sense to you from each of those perspectives, and then taking the time to kind of like bring them all together to shape your own view of the world. After you do that, I think that the next step is to internalize that. Like, it's one thing to understand that this is how you want to be, but it's another thing to be how you want to be. And it takes time and it takes hard work and determination to incorporate these things into your life because, thermodynamics, an object in motion tends to stay in motion. And unless another force acts upon it. So in this sense, you need to be the other force that's acting against your previous self, so you can evolve and grow into who you're actually wanting to be, into who you're actually meant to be. And I think that's the most beautiful thing because I think humans are amazing. I think that every single human has the potential to be incredible, even if I don't like a lot of people. Like, just getting off topic real quick, for example, I went to the Malaga Fair, La Feria de Malaga, and with a couple like people that I know from school, and honestly, like it was one of the worst nights out that I've had in a while. Like, I got there and I was like, mind you, these people know me. Like, they don't know me, but they've seen me and they know that we've shared classes. Like, as soon as I got there, it just kind of felt like they were like thrown off. Like, I don't know if they don't like me or whatever, but it was just kind of like, bro, like, I'm just coming here to have fun, the same thing as you are, but like, they kind of just shun me. Like, a lot of them just shun me right away, and like, it's like, bro, we've shared classes, we've had like team assignments together. Like, is there a reason why you don't like me particularly? Because I don't know, like, I don't feel like I can be a dick sometimes, but I have people that like me and friends, so like, I cannot be like the biggest dick, especially like to people that I don't like know that much. But as a whole, like, like, we gotta understand that like people are gonna dislike us whether we're ourselves or pretending to be something else. And I'd rather you not like me because of me than because someone that I'm pretending to be, or because of the person that I think that people would like the most. And it's sad, like, it's hard sometimes for people like me, at least, who might not fit in everywhere because I'm a very different person than most people. Like, I'm complex in the sense that, like, a lot of my activities and my beliefs are not necessarily contradictory, but like, they're on opposites of the spectrum, like, I believe in like a lot of right-wing things, but I also believe in a lot of left-wing thoughts, like thought theories. And I'm a person who, smokes and parties and drinks sometimes, but I'm also a person who takes care of their body and who, works out and eats properly and who's aware of like optimal consumption and like putting limits on the consumption of certain things, whether it be exercise or illegal substances or just alcohol in general, like, sex, like you just need to be able to understand where you're at and who you are and how things affect you. And after those things come, after you come to terms with those things, you might be happier. I know that I am a lot happier now overall than I used to be before, and that's just because now I'm actually being myself and not caring that much about whether you're gonna like me or not. I rather be myself than be liked. And I understand I need to be liked because it is a very important trait to have. Like if you're a likable person, you're gonna be most likely very successful in life if you put very little effort. Like you might even be successful if you don't put any effort at all if you're likable. I'm not that likable, and that's fine. But I'm myself. And the older that I get, the more thankful I am that I took the time and that I constantly take the time to expand my thought horizons and to incorporate new thought processes into my life. And it's allowed me to move very far away from where I was 2 years ago in a lot of ways. And now I need to focus in other things. I've mastered, not mastered, but I've incorporated a lot of things that I wanted to do into my life, and now I need to incorporate new things. It's a constant growth. Being yourself is a constant process. It doesn't stop. It never stops. It's like education. Just because you're done with school, with college, doesn't mean that you're like done. You need to keep pushing. You need to keep going forward. And maybe that's just my identity. It's just an ambitious identity. Maybe that's not yours. But I still think that it's worth it and one of the best investments of time that you can make to maybe question yourself a little bit and understand why you are the way you are and who you want to be and what you need to do to get there. Anyway, I think that I didn't say a lot, but I hope that like at least some of this was helpful. And hopefully this video does a little bit better than the other ones, because I mean I need to get this going, bro. Like it is what it is. I'm gonna try to start scripting these videos a little bit just so I have like a clearer thought process and I kind of like pause less. If you happen to watch this, on the off chance that you happen to watch this, maybe you can comment and tell me a little bit about how or what you think that I should do to improve the content, the quality of the videos. I want to make content that's like inspirational, or at least that's relatable to the experiences that we have, because at the end of the day we all go through the same experiences. The details change, but the experiences itself are very, not even similar, the actual same. Like we've all experienced heartbreak, we've all experienced shame or jealousy, fear, or like greed, and I would like to share how those affected me or how those have shaped who I am. Anyway, take care, see you next time.